The War of Xynia. After years of fragile balance between the Southern Protectorate led by Wei Qìnzhōng, the free city of Liángǎng, and the Japanese Bakufu of the north, peace collapses in 1255. A suspicious fire devastates the southern docks of Liángǎng. Arinobu, a young and impulsive Japanese daimyo, sends troops to the city gates under the pretext of protection, but his true aim is expansion. Wei Qìnzhōng approaches the Japanese camp unarmed to negotiate a peaceful withdrawal. Arinobu accepts the meeting. "Defeat me with your hands, and we'll leave." A brutal hand-to-hand duel erupts between the two leaders. Arinobu, strong and heavy, struggles to match Wei's speed. The fight seems endless. Wei, in a gesture of respect, halts the duel and extends his hand. Suddenly, an arrow fired from the shadows strikes his chest. Wei collapses slowly, dying under the stunned eyes of his men. On December 25, 1255, Wei Qìnzhōng dies, a lasting hero of Xynia. His soldiers, enraged, attack the Japanese. The Liángǎng Council, once neutral, sides with the south. Li Meiyan, understanding what must be done, aligns with Wei's now leaderless but resolute followers. January 4, 1256. Huren, charismatic son of Han Huren, takes command of the southern army. Raised under his father's legendary ideals of unity and liberty, Shi leads a fierce counterattack that surprises Arinobu and forces him to retreat. The elder daimyo Kokami criticizes Arinobu's reckless leadership. Meanwhile, General Zhou Wen of the Chinese Empire moves in shadows. His motives are unclear. He secretly supports the South to weaken Japan, yet maintains a public neutrality. Both sides still rely on him. In February 1256, conflict spreads across the land. At the walls of Liángǎng, Shi Huren leads the charge himself. His blade strikes fast. His voice commands louder than drums. In a single night assault, he breaks the siege, forcing the Japanese to retreat. Led by Eek-noo-AH, the Zapotec tribe descends from the mountains. Eek-noo-AH, a warrior shaman and survivor of the 1225 deportation, seeks to restore freedom to his people. The Zapotecs attack Yaht-lahn, the Japanese stronghold. Arinobu's forces are defeated. The city burns. He is now fighting on two fronts. April 12, 1256. Chantal and Mihei warriors, Zapotec allies, strike a southern base secretly backed by China. Shi Huren loses 400 men. The tribes are overtaking the chaos of Xynia. May 28, 1256. Liángǎng faces a harsh siege. In the poorer quarters, fear and hunger spread like wildfire. While the council divides, some eager to negotiate with Eek-noo-AH, others desperate for Chinese protection, Li Meiyan walks the burning alleys herself, delivering bread, water, and comfort to the frightened and wounded. She refuses guards, saying, "If they must die, let them at least see someone who hasn't abandoned them." By night, she sits alone in the council chamber, stained with ash and blood, facing the silence of a city crumbling under fear. June 10, 1256. Zhou Wen appears at the high palace of Liángǎng with 20 armed men and a chest of evidence, proof that Councilman Chanlun orchestrated the dock fire under Kokami's orders. The council is shaken. Zhou proposes restoring Chinese rule in exchange for safety. Just then, the Chantal launch another assault. Arinobu, unaware he's a pawn of Kokami, is ordered to challenge Eek-noo-AH to restore honor. The duel occurs in the Slawka River Valley. Though valiant, Arinobu falls. Eek-noo-AH does not kill him right away. After a brutal hand-to-hand fight, the tribal leader knocks Arinobu to the ground, breaking his arm and shattering his knee with precision. The proud daimyo, once towering and arrogant, now writhes in pain, humiliated in front of the gathered warriors. His body is dragged through the dirt, his armor torn, face bloodied, and brought before a line of Zapotec mothers. They stand silent at first. Then, one by one, They spit on him, each gesture slow and deliberate. Finally, a withered old shaman woman steps forward, carrying a sharp conch shell. Without a word, she draws the edge across his throat. The crowd doesn't cheer. The jungle absorbs the silence as his blood soaks into the soil. His death, orchestrated by the Japanese elders, is used to start diplomatic talks. The elders shift blame onto Yorinobu and seek a truce. China agrees to mediate, but demands control of Liángǎng and the south in case of a tribal defeat. Japan would be compensated with northern expansion. This fragile peace hides tensions beneath its surface. Zhou Wen, burdened by his failed plans, dons his imperial armor for the first time in years. Facing his soldiers, he says,
"Our plan unraveled with Wei's death. Since then, I've played a losing game. Now we speak with steel, not for conquest, but to bring order to this chaos. Will you follow me?"
The camp answers with a sullen roar. Zhou Wen leads a major offensive into the Yaht-lahn plain. His forces quickly capture key positions with gunpowder tactics. Yet, in the forests and traps of tribal guerrilla warfare, the tide turns. One night, Eek-noo-AH's warriors attack with flaming arrows. Zhao fights fiercely, saving many. Liángǎng is surrounded. Huren and Li Mian lead the desperate defense as the city collapses under fire and chaos. In the southern quarter, Mei Yan guides civilians through a maze of burning alleys. The enemy is closing in. Reaching a fragile wooden scaffold above a narrow pass, she urges the last group to cross. Then, with a single cut, she brings the structure crashing down, blocking the path behind them. The civilians escape, but she doesn't. Buried in flame and rubble, Mei Yan vanishes. Huren watches from a distance, bloodied and trembling. He gathers the survivors. He doesn't speak. Together, they flee into the haze beyond the walls, unsure if the city behind them still has a future. Wounded and exhausted, he leads one final charge to hold the eastern gate, then collapses, bleeding, beside the bodies of friends and strangers alike. His men pull him back inside. That night, as the siege tightens and the walls tremble, he realizes he no longer wants to fight this land. He loves it. At dawn, Huren limps to the city gates and orders them opened. With his sword laid down, he speaks to the wind. "I will not raise steel against a place I wish to call home." Seeing this act of surrender and reverence, Eek-noo-AH halts the assault. No more blood. No more burning. The city is spared. Liángǎng becomes not a prize of war, but a fragile promise of peace. By February 1257, both Chinese and Japanese forces had tried and failed to crush the allied tribes. The Mihei, Zah Potek, and Chontal now control the jungle. Their ambushes are relentless. The war has turned, and defeat is closing in. In the Shuluk forest, Zhou Wen gathers his last troops. Though he repels many attacks, he knows the end is near. He rescues a young soldier from the flames. Zhou chooses to surrender to Eek-noo-AH, not in defeat, but to spare lives. In a private moment, he says, "I ask not for mercy, but for silence. Let me vanish, like a lesson unlearned." Eek-noo-AH nods. "Go, and carry the weight of what you did not choose." Then he adds, almost solemnly, "But not with your voice." Before Zhou can react, two warriors hold him still. A third steps forward with a ritual blade. The general doesn't resist. He knows what this means. The blade flashes. A sharp, muffled scream breaks the silence of the jungle. Zhou drops to his knees, blood spilling into the earth. From that moment on, the general walked in exile. Zhou disappears into the mountains, marked by exile. Returning to China would mean death. The Japanese, now without clear leadership, begin to collapse. In August 1258, during the final battle near the burned ruins of Yaht-lahn, Kawakami is surrounded by tribal warriors. The war has taken a new direction, unstoppable and raw. Kawakami fights with honor, but he is old and outnumbered. As his men fall one by one, refusing to surrender, he is pierced by dozens of spears. His death is slow and brutal, more execution than battle. His perfect plan, like Zhou's, crumbles with him, devoured by the fire of a war that no longer follows anyone's design. At the official end of the war in 1260, Eek-noo-AH died. His final words echoed across the land. The people of Wei are not like other invaders. They love this land without seeking to own it. Let them live among us. The southern descendants are welcomed by the tribes. They learn the native tongues, honor their myths. Liángǎng is rebuilt, not as an imperial city, but a place of peace and memory. Wei's sudden, mysterious death shattered every plan. Zhou had hoped to use the Japanese strategy to control Liángǎng, but the chaos unleashed by Wei's absence broke every scheme. The south, the tribes, even the empire itself lost control. After the war, Huren refused any title, land, or recognition. He quietly withdrew to the southern hills beyond Liángǎng, where he built a small settlement with the surviving families, half tribal, half southern. In time, the children of Xynia called him the Silent Guardian. He never spoke of his own pain, only of those he had loved and lost. Why, Li Mine, the brave who stayed behind. Some say he lived many more years, walking the forests at dawn with a walking staff and a quiet smile. In the end, Qìnzhōng unknowingly saved Xynia from a future of oppression.